everyone. Thank you for such a warm welcome. It's a true pleasure and privilege to be here and to be speaking in front of you. I am Rudik, member of Ukrainian Parliament and leader of the Voice Party, the first liberal party to ever enter Ukrainian Parliament. I would like to start with a list of thanks. First of all, to Ed Davey for his incredible warmth and the strong stance, that mix that you have probably had a chance to experience. I would like to thank Lila Moran for being always alongside us and for incredible energy that she's putting in supporting Ukraine. Thank you so much to Sal Brinton, who and her family has put a lot into truly supporting us and training Ukrainian soldiers. By the way, Sal and I, we are sitting at the board of ALDI, and we say that we are representing non-EU countries that have strong plans to become EU countries. Thank you so much to Nick da Costa for making sure that we arrive here and that we have been taken so amazing care of. And of course, to our amazing friends from Scotland, Alex Cole-Hamilton and Wendy Chamberlain, who made my visit earlier this year to Dundee such an impressive and a good thing to remember. So, you know, my stepdad is an American, and he has been teaching for nearly 50 years. And what I like to do with him is to have this intellectual debate about different things, how they are perceived in the United States and in Ukraine and in Europe. And so one of the particular things that is very crazy is that Americans believe that they won the Second World War. And, you know, and when he was telling the story to me, I was saying, Daddy, no, it is us in Europe who won the Second World War. And then we would go on and on and on for those lovely evenings that you have a chance to have with your dad. But the truth is, none of us have fought the Second World War. We are only being to be proud for something that our ancestor did, being on the right side of the history. So here I'm extending all the gratefulness to each and every of you who are dragging me in the halls and telling me the stories about Ukrainian families living with you, for the support that you are gathering, and for what your nation is doing for us. What you are doing is truly generational. And on behalf of Ukrainian people, I say only one thing: thank you. We will never forget it. Today is the day 579 since the full-scale invasion started, since my nation started fighting and continues doing so. There are some lessons that we learned over this time that I would like to share with you today. The first lesson is the lesson of unity. You know, when Kyiv was bombarded on the first day of full-scale invasion, it started at 5 a.m. We woke up and we started calling each other as parliamentary party leaders, because in Ukrainian constitution, it is written very clear on what we should do at the times like this. We, as a parliament, should gather inside the parliamentary chambers and vote for the martial law to begin. However, at that moment, nobody knew if we will be able to gather and how many people can we get inside the chambers. Our security was saying absolute no, red flag, no, 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 because if you would look at Ukrainian parliament, it is located at the center of a huge park. So if you are a Russian pilot, it is a no-brainer for you to fly over and bombard it. And so we decided that we will get as many people as possible. Kiev was in collapse. People were trying to evacuate. There were explosions everywhere. And we said, like, okay, we will do what we can do the best, and then we will see. Finally, around 7 a.m., our security said that they will probably get us 10 minutes in the chambers. Take it or leave it. And so we started together. Ukrainian parliament building was built during Soviet time, and it's Soviet monumentalism. It was created to show you that no matter that you are an MP, you are still small and insignificant to the building of communism and socialism. And so imagine those buildings without the lights on, with all the windows covered with a bag of sand, and lots of military inside. We were getting very quickly inside the chambers, and when we looked around, we have seen that of 420 members of parliament, around 300 came. And for 10 minutes that we were desperately clicking our buttons, calling for the whole world to help us stand, to help us fight, showing Ukrainian people that we did not run, that we will be standing together, and we will be fighting, and we will be resisting. We were singing national anthem, and we were holding hands. It was one of the most emotional moments of my life, because at that moment we also made a vow between political parties in Ukraine that for as long as it takes, no matter how hard it would be, we will stand together. We will work as Team Ukraine until we win the war. And right now, 579 days later, I can tell you one thing. It is incredibly hard. Politicians are not set to work together, are not set to set their fights aside, unless there is something bigger than us. There is something that matters more to us. And I guess we found this thing. It's a freedom, and it is victory for our country. The second lesson is a lesson of values. You know, if you take a person on the streets of Ukraine and ask where we are in terms of European Union and Ukraine, they would probably tell you that we are already members, but the paperwork is kind of lost in the mail. And that's a good one, because it is written in Ukrainian constitution that we need to become members of European Union, members of NATO. That's the choice of Ukrainian people. And we as politicians have to make this choice real. So probably the first good thing that happens in the full-scale invasion was getting the candidacy to European Union for our country. And as you can imagine, it was not an easy project, with different work on the political arenas and pushing from different sides. And it was very personal for me, because I have so many friends, volunteers, who were getting to the front to fight. And when they were preparing, they were tying two flags to their backpacks, Ukrainian flag and flag of the European Union. And my biggest threat at the time, when we were pushing very hard to get this candidacy status, was, what if we won't get it? What we will be telling our people fighting at the front, that they are fighting under the wrong flag? But the work resulted in good news. And I remember the day, because I had a privilege to be in Brussels on the day when it was announced that we are becoming a candidate for membership in the European Union. So if you hear a story about a crazy woman running around European Parliament yelling, "Yay, Ukraine," it may or may not be me. The third lesson is that unpunished evil always returns. One would think that we have learned that from the Hollywood blockbusters, but apparently we did not. So I remember the first day of Bucha being liberated. And myself and the parliamentary delegations went there. We went there with the journalists to assure and to observe and to see what was going on there. It was one of the best and the worst decisions that I have made. The worst one is because I will never forget what I have seen there. And we have seen everything. The dead bodies alongside the road. We have seen mass graves and talked to people and women who suffered sexual violence. But the best decision, it was because I truly believe that at some point there will be a tribunal and Putin will be sitting at the bench. And at that moment, he would probably say that nothing of that happened. And then we will be able to say, no, we have seen that, we have experienced that. It was all for real, and now you are getting your justice. The fourth lesson is a lesson of peace. You know, there are so many of you who asked me beforehand, but how does this end? Is there going to be a peace deal? Is there going to be a negotiation? And my answer to that always is, but who or what in the world can ensure that Putin will keep his part of the bargain? We know he would not. So then we will have to fight until we win and until we find a solution of how to make sure that he would not attack us again. There is a reason for that. You know, I was born soon before Soviet Union collapsed. During my whole life, I was always under the influence of what was happening to my country. The poverty of the 90s, then the development of the 2000s, revolutions, and then the war started in 2014, and then the full-scale invasion. I decided to become a politician because I had this crazy dream that at some point we can build a country where we will be able to grow children that would not be influenced by this country's fate, that would allow themselves to pursue their dreams freely as it is possible. And you know, right now, we are robbed of this dream because we have a generation of kids that have seen dead bodies, that know how to hide during the air raid sirens, that know how to study at the bomb shelters, that have to run their homes and to ask their parents the question that no parent can answer normally is, Mommy, are we refugees now? So there is one particular thing that we owe to those kids. They should not have to fight this war again. And there is a fifth lesson, that impossible is nothing. You know, at the very first days, nobody believed that we will stand for more than 2 or 3 days or a week. Then nobody believed that we can get heavy weapons and use them wisely. Nobody believed up to the 3 days before we got the candidacy that we will become a candidate to European Union. Then nobody believed that we will take Kherson back and liberate a good part of Kharkiv region. Then nobody believed we will get the tank coalition. And my good friend Alex Coley-Hamilton remembers that just half of a year ago, nobody believed that we will get so needed fighter jets. And than the wide-range missiles. But you know what's the most important? That we believed that. And we were ready to fight for what we believed at. So now, when someone says that it is impossible to win the war, impossible to become, for Ukraine, a member of European Union and NATO, to rebuild our country, to become successful and prosperous, there is only one thing that I can say. Watch us. Thank you.